Thank you.
Got you.
Everybody look at Mrs. Stafford. She doesn't want to draw any attention since she just walked in.
Good evening, everyone. It is Wednesday, October 18th, 2023, and we are convening a regular meeting of the Cuyahoga Heights Schools Board of Education in the Bonneray Media Center. Mr. Mucci, would you call the roll, please?
Mrs. Decker.
Here.
Mrs. Etter.
Here.
Mr. Souchaki.
Here.
Ms. Kraus.
Here.
Mr. Downs.
Here, 5 present, none absent. On behalf of the board, I'd like to welcome all students, staff, parents, and interested community members to tonight's Board of Education meeting. The board values and encourages public comment on education issues. Anyone having an interest in the actions of the board may participate during the public comments portion of this meeting. Please identify yourself on the board sign-in sheet that I believe Mr. Young has in the rear of the room. A copy of the board meeting agenda is available for review on our district's website. Please silence your cell phones during the meeting, and would you now join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So may I have a motion to approve this evening's agenda, please?
So moved.
Ms. Decker moves.
Second.
Mr. Souchaki seconds. Mr. Evans, Mr. Muccio, any additions, changes,
I
edits?
need to remove 14E from the agenda, the approval of VASU. I received a late bid today, and I want the opportunity to take a look at that bid next to VASU's bid before making a recommendation.
Okay, so when we get to that part of the agenda, would you, and just please remind us, and
Yeah.
Mr. Muccio, we can carve that out from the,
Yep.
from the motions. So with that change, are there any other changes or edits by other, okay? Well, with that, then let's move to a roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Decker.
Aye.
Mrs. Etter.
Aye.
Mr. Souchaki.
Aye.
Ms. Kraus.
Aye.
Mr. Downs.
Aye, the motion passes 5-0. Mr. Evans, agenda item number 3.
Students of the month, and I'm going to turn over to Mr. Dutray.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming out this evening as we recognize our students of the month from both the middle school and the high school, as well as the elementary. The first student of the month that we're going to recognize is from the 6th grade, Chelsea Stez. Please come forward. Stice. Chelsea is here with her parents, Michelle and Robert. She is a resident of Garfield Heights, and she is the second youngest of 6. She has 3 dogs and a cat, and 2 of the dogs are St. Bernards. She has been attending Cuyahoga Heights since 3rd grade, and she stated that she believes her aunt and uncle on her mom's side are also alumni of the district. Her favorite subject in school is reading, and her favorite genre is historical fiction. Chelsea is a member of the band and orchestra, and outside of school, she competes as a figure skater. Her most memorable school experience has been attending pep rallies, and she wants to become an author someday when she is done with school. Here is what one of her teachers had to say. I would like to nominate Chelsea for the 6th grade Student of the Month. Chelsea is always prepared for class and is kind. She has a great attitude and never fails to help the people around her. She makes everybody's day better by being here and being herself. Congratulations, Chelsea. Next for the middle school, our Student of the Month for October is Madison Palmer. Madison was uncertain if she was going to be able to make it here this evening, but I do want to continue to recognize her here tonight by reading what her teacher who nominated her had to say. Madison Palmer is being recognized as our 7th grade Student of the Month for showing exceptional motivation. Maddie comes to class each day with a positive attitude and a readiness to learn. She consistently works hard, turns in assignments on time, and seeks out extra help when needed. Maddie actively participates in class discussions and takes initiative to improve. Congratulations on being our 7th grade Student of the Month. Your motivation is inspiring to classmates and teachers alike. Keep up the great work. Congratulations, Maddie. From the 8th grade, we have Nora Gannon, Student of the Month. Nora's parents are Lauren and Tim. She is the oldest and has a younger sister in the 5th grade. She has attended Cuyahoga Heights since the 3rd grade, and she and her family live in Brooklyn Heights. Her favorite subject in school is social studies. She is on the swim team and is a member of the choir, stage crew, and art club. She isn't quite sure what she wants to do when she's finished with school, but stated maybe be an instructor at the School of Rock or work in an office. When I asked her if she could meet anyone famous, past or present, who would it be? She thought for a second and said, Weezer, the band. Good choice. And here is what her teachers had written. Nora Gannon is 8th grade's nomination for Student of the Month. Nora has been consistently demonstrating a strong work ethic and determination to succeed, particularly in her math class. When faced with challenging material, she remains focused and perseveres through any difficulties. She does not like to give up easily. Nora exhibits impressive motivation and self-direction. She takes initiative to get extra help in the mornings at study tables and during study halls. Thanks to her consistent effort and motivation to grow, Nora has made wonderful progress this year. Her success is well-deserved. Your motivation is an inspiration to us all, and we look forward to witnessing your continued success. Congratulations, Nora. From the 9th grade, Luke Cretan. Luke is here with his mom, Heather. He has an older sister and a younger brother who also both attend Cuyahoga Heights. The family, along with their cat, reside in Brooklyn Heights. His favorite subject in school is science, and Luke is a member of the football and wrestling teams. Outside of school, Luke said he can be found lifting weights or playing on his Xbox. His most memorable school experience was the 8th grade promotion at the end of the year. He plans to attend CVCC for electrical systems to become an electrician. And here is what Luke's teachers had written. Luke is essentially what Students of the Month are all about. He is an extraordinarily nice student who is always respectful to his peers and his teachers. He is super helpful and does nice things simply to make other people's lives easier. It didn't take long to realize that he is a great kid, and I highly recommend him for the Student of the Month for October. Congratulations, Luke. From the 10th grade, Student of the Month, Aiden Archowski. Aiden is here tonight with his parents, Monica and Mark. He has a younger sister who is in the 6th grade, and they are residents of Brooklyn Heights. His favorite subject in school is history, and Aiden participates in the Chess and Smash Brothers Club, and outside of school, he enjoys running 5Ks. I asked him if he enjoys running and why he isn't on the cross country. He said, maybe I'll do that next time. His most memorable school experience happens each day, he said, because he enjoys seeing his teachers and learning. He said he didn't know what he wanted to do after school, but possibly be a teacher or a lawyer. Here is what his teachers wrote. I have Aiden in my honors biology class, and so far he is adjusting wonderfully to the start of the new school year, as well as jumping into the honors track for science. He participates regularly in class and stays on top of all his quizzes and tests as well. He always gets his work done, and he never complains about anything. I can't wait to see how far he goes this year in my class. You're off to a great start this year, Aiden. Congratulations, Aiden. The 11th grade, student of the month for October, Salvatore Grisman. Sal is here with his parents, Dina and Ronnie, and he has a younger brother who also attends Cuyahoga Heights, and the family lives in Valley View. He has attended Cuyahoga Heights his entire life, and he said when I asked him what his favorite classes in school are, he responded, PE and lunch. Sal is a member of the football team, and outside of school, he enjoys riding his bike, playing video games. He said, I asked which one, he said Fortnite, and watching Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I asked him to name his favorite restaurant, and without hesitation, he says the Olive Garden for their chicken Alfredo, which I find interesting because I see Sal get back every day from CVCC with a bag of McDonald's. So McDonald's is probably up on that list too somewhere. But here is what his teacher had written. Sal comes to school every day with great energy and a positive spirit that brightens up the day for everyone that he comes in contact with. In my government class, Sal has been working hard at learning the fundamentals of the governmental system and how he is going to fit into the country as an informed and participating citizen and its political processes. He is involved with the high school football team, participating in practices and after-school conditioning. One of his favorite things he looks forward to are the team dinners. Sal also helps out his school by walking around classrooms to help collect paper for recycling. Sal is and continues to be the type of kid that makes Cuyahoga Heights a special place. Congratulations, Sal. And the 12th grade, student of the month, Madison Thompson. So I will still continue to read what her teachers had to say in her nomination. I don't have Madison in class, but what I have observed is of Madison in the media center. Madison has routinely come to the media center for study hall for the last couple years, and I don't know what kind of grade she gets in her classes, but what I've observed daily is that she uses her time well and she focuses on her studies. She is a serious student, and furthermore, Madison is quiet, respectful, and courteous, not only to me, but to others. She isn't one-sided. She is also an athlete who has played on the school's volleyball team and continues to play on the softball team this spring. I hope that Madison's maturity and her focus will help her in her future passions beyond high school. Let us recognize Madison for the Student of the Month for October.
Middle school, high school, we're going to ask you to stay up there while we bring up the elementary students with Mr. Kiefer.
Thank you. I'm Jake Kiefer, principal over at the elementary school. I thank you, fourth grade team I see, part of our great staff over there. Mrs. Boney, who's our long-term son, serving for Mrs. Meister, who just had a baby recently, and Mrs. Stafford. And they do a great job supporting these identified fourth graders. Another message I have for the board, and Superintendent Evans is going to speak to the staff spotlight, but our staff spotlight for the district comes from the elementary school, and she is so sorry she can't be with you this evening to receive her special honor as she's coaching her last soccer game. Nope, it's not last if they win.
Yeah, I was going to say, don't be
That's not what I meant to say.
stamping a loss on her, Mr. Kiefer.
You guys cannot tell her.
Oh, I'm going to rat him out, don't worry.
Oh, she'll be in my office first thing in the
Yeah.
morning.
He's going right under the bus on that one.
Oh, my. Ava West, would you come forward, please, our first student of the month? Ava is one of our fourth graders, as you know. She's from Valley View, and she lives with her mom, Crystal, and stepdad, hi back there, Crystal, and stepdad Corey. She has brothers, Gabe, Tristan, and she also has many step-siblings that she told me about, and sometimes she lives out in Richfield. Okay, she also has a cat named Subaru, correct? And 3 dogs, Molly, Cooper, and Bella, at Dad's. Her favorite subject in school, Mrs. Stafford, is math, because it's fun and she learns a lot. And her favorite essentials, or as we call them over there, specials, happens to be PE class because she likes to run around. Outside of school, she enjoys gymnastics, soccer, and crafts. When she grows up, she told me she would like to be a doctor. So, of course, college is in her future. And a message, I asked her, what message would you like to give to your parents that are with you this evening? And she just wanted me to say, thanks for helping me learn. So thank you, Mom. So congratulations. There you go. You'll stand over there, please. All right, you ready for this, Jonah? All right, come on down, Jonah. Shot. Once again, board, this is another multi-generational Heights family. So congratulations, Jonah. Is here with Mom tonight, one of my former students, and has a brother named Dexter. You must be Dexter. Yep. 7th grader. Okay. Stepdad. Dad. Okay. Thanks, Dad. For me, he does. I get on to you here in a second here. Dad lives in Shaker Heights, so he has the opportunity to go back and forth. I asked him a little bit. Compare the Heights to Shaker Heights. So we had a little conversation about that. He has 2 dogs, a goose named Ozzy. And his favorite subject, you win again, math. I get a lot of answers right, so he enjoys math. Favorite essential, same as Ava, PE, because he loves to be active, he loves sports, and I know he plays outside soccer because sometimes he comes to school with big hair, red hair, I can't know what it is from the soccer games, but he and his buddies love to play that soccer. When he grows up, he told me he'd like to be a pilot because he likes to fly. So he does plan to go to college. He already told me, OU, Mom. All right, so start saving. And a message to Mom and Dad out in the audience. He says, I've been nice to everyone. Thanks for raising me to be good. So congratulations, gentlemen. Great students from our 4th grade. Thank you.
So students, we're going to ask you to have a seat, and I'm going to go through the, go ahead and have a seat, and then as soon as we're done, we're going to line up for pictures out here. But I am going to take a moment to recognize Mrs. Runger, and she thinks she's off the hook because she's out there winning the soccer game tonight, but I will show up at a staff meeting and appropriately embarrass her in front of her colleagues, never to miss a moment like that. But Kaylin Runger is our staff spotlight this evening, and I'm going to read the resolution. Resolution. Whereas the Cuyahoga Heights School District has been fortunate to have dedicated staff committed to the mission of the district, and whereas Kaylin Runger is an outstanding, dedicated 3rd grade teacher and high school soccer coach, and whereas Mrs. Runger demonstrates how much she cares for her students by being both understanding and attentive, and whereas Mrs. Runger does not hesitate to take time from her busy schedule to ensure the student success by accommodating individual students during their recess period, and whereas Mrs. Runger always has a cheerful smile that serves to reassure students that she generally cares for them, and whereas Mrs. Runger is well-organized, conscientious, and makes a point to foster positive relationships with both students and their parents, and whereas Mrs. Runger is overall an incredibly positive and influential role model for her students and fellow educators, therefore, be it resolved that the Cuyahoga Heights Board of Education congratulates Kaylin Runger on her October 18th, 2023 selection to the Cuyahoga Heights Schools Staff Spotlight. I ask that the board approve that resolution.
Great, so may I have a motion to approve Ms. Runger as our October staff spotlight? Did I hear you? Okay. Ms. Prowse moves, Mr. Souchaki will take the second. Thank you for that wonderful background about another one of our very, very dedicated and very committed and very talented teachers, Mr. Evans. It's very nice to know that we have people of that caliber working for us. Thank you. With that, let's move to a roll call vote, please.
Ms. Prowse?
Aye.
Mr. Souchaki?
Aye.
Mrs. Decker?
Aye.
Mrs. Etter?
Aye.
Mr. Nellens?
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Congratulations, Mrs. Runger. Thank you. Good luck today.
So we're going to take a little break, and we would ask that the students of the month line up with the Board of Education so we can get a picture, and then moms and dads and teachers and everybody else, take as many as you like. And I think Mrs. Stafford promised ice cream afterwards for the fourth graders. I'm not certain.
Okay.
Should we proceed?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So, my understanding, we're looking at agenda item number 5, comments from the public. There are none this evening, so let's move on to agenda item number 6. Mr. Muccio.
Thank you, Mr. Dobbins. Tonight's board meeting, I ask for motions 6A, 7A through 7E for approval.
Do you mean 7D or E? I'm sorry.
7E.
I'm sorry, I missed that. Great. So can I have a motion to approve the treasurer's consent agenda items, please?
So moved.
Mr. Souchaki moves. Ms. Decker seconds. Mr. Muccio, background.
Yeah, I just want to point out out 7A, the new vendors, we have two. First one is Armor Window Films, and that's for shatter-resistant window films for security. So that's going to be paid for with our school safety grant, and that's approximately $30,000 for the year. And the next one is the Measured Mom, and that's for reading intervention software, about $150 for the year in the general fund. Those new vendors. 7B, purchase orders over 5,000 if we open that lead sheet. We have 8, however, we're taking away VASU, so only 7 tonight. First one is Reddick Music, and that's for instrument repairs. A blanket purchase order for $5,500 from the general fund. Number 2 is College Board AP exams. That's for AP testing for the 23-24 school year, approximately 175 exams in that, $16,247, general fund. Number 3, TransFinder. That's for GPS devices for all of our vehicles. And that's paid for with our OFCC school safety grant funds. And that's $15,684. Number 4 is CDWG. That's for our Microsoft licensing for the 2023-24 school year. That's a renewal. That's $7,462.80 from the general fund. Number 5 is Logicalis. That's for our Cisco phone system software licensing, year 3 of 3 for our agreement that we board approved back in July of 2021. $8,160 from the general fund. Number 6, OSBA. That's for our board docs software, what we're using right now, for the 23-24 school year. That's a reoccurring charge of $10,600 from the general fund. And number 7 is Armor Window Films. That's for the window wrap safety film on 15 building doors and side lights for the elementary school, middle school, and high school. That's $18,900 and paid for between a combination of the OFCC school safety grant funds and the permanent improvement fund. 7C, donations. We want to thank everybody that has donated. Number 1, Mr. Dobbins, thank you for your donation to the Hall of Fame. Dan and Mary Kay DeRazio, thank them for their Hall of Fame donation. Robert Mantel and Ellis Tina for the Hall of Fame donations as well. And Paul Pierce for donating musical instrument and trombone to the band. 7D, this is our advancement of local taxes. We do a resolution every year. And if we open 5A, that's the tax advance schedule from Cuyahoga County. And what this resolution really does is we get our advances coming through in January, so January 16th and February 15th. So whatever the county collects, they advance to us a portion of that money, and then we get all of the money March 15th. Had we not done this resolution, we would just get it all March 15th. So this way we get some that helps with our cash flow, with all of our checks and payroll that we have to pay, as well as we can invest it quicker and get the interest on it. And then we also get the advance 7/15, and then the rest of it 8/15, the second collections that we have. And at the very, very bottom, they just say taxing authorities wishing to receive the tax advance schedule in 2024 must submit a resolution to the County Budget Commission by 12/31/2023. So we're doing it a little ahead of time. And the last one is 7E, then and now. We have 4, Logicalis, OSBA, Ohio Schools Council, and the ESC of Northeast Ohio, which is an agreement that we're going to be board approving later on tonight. Ask for those motions for approval tonight.
Very good. Are there any questions or comments for Mr. Muccio on the items that he covered?
I was just curious about the instrument donation. Is that something that, I mean, I never heard about that, and I think that's great. I mean, that will help our music program if people in the community know that that's a place that they can donate old or unused instruments.
It's a good band. Sometimes they're not
They may not be in great shape.
great shape, and sometimes the cost to refurbish them is not, it's not cost effective for us. So
Yeah.
I tell the music people that that's on a case-by-case basis, and it's always their call whether or not they want to accept the donation. To always take a look at it first and not blindly. I've got a whole closet full of bowling balls and other athletic gear that people didn't sell at garage sales that thought we could use that
Yeah.
we're not able to use.
Right.
Well intended, but
If there are no other questions or comments, we can move to a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Souchaki?
Aye.
Mrs. Decker?
Aye.
Mrs. Etter?
Aye.
Ms. Prowse?
Aye.
Mr.
Aye, motion passes 5-0. Thank you, Mr. Muccio. Moving on to your discussion comments, please.
For tonight, first one, 9A, for the 5-year forecast, we're looking to present November 1st, and then approve the forecast 2 weeks later, November 15th. 9B, levy information. So this is the levy breakdown, what the levy will cost, what the levy will fund, just an informational item that I've been including for every board meeting. 9C, that's our sample ballot from Cuyahoga County. If we were to open it, that's what the voters would see when they walk to vote. And the last one, 9D, Suburban Health Consortium. So the consortium's been having financial problems, and there's approximately 20 schools that are in the consortium. Our closest neighbor, Independence, is one of them. We've known for some time that we have to tackle this in some fashion, and the combination of superintendents and treasurers have been looking at possibly switching from our current medical mutual to Anthem, which now is named Elevance. And we've had 2 consultants do reports on the potential financial benefits of a switch. And if we were to switch, that could be anywhere in the ballpark of approximately $9 million. And we're talking an overall budget of approximately $120 million. So pretty substantial within 1 year to save $9 million. And then therefore every year going forward, that would be the same $9 million savings. A couple updates from Suburban Health for the past meeting that I attended. We're looking at a mid-year rate increase of approximately 10%. So that would be on top of the 13% if we were to stay with Medical Mutual. If we were to switch, it looks like there would be no mid-year rate increase. It sounds like from a straw poll that there is an overwhelming majority of Suburban Health Consortium schools that are in favor of switching from Medical Mutual to Anthem, now known as Elevance, at this point in time. They're looking to vote sooner than later, possibly December 2023. We're looking here at our district to engage our Health Cost Containment Committee. However, our vote may not matter in the grand scheme of things. It may be so overwhelming in favor of it that either way we vote, has no impact. I view this, as a short-term way to shore up the finances of Suburban Health. We're gonna have to look at long-term ways, and we have been doing that. They also say that, we're keeping everything with our plan, so there's no change there. The only thing our staff members would see would be a new insurance card. So not Medical Mutual, but a new Anthem, now known as Elevance insurance card that would come. And they say that for the in-network, the match is about 99%. So all doctors that are there, 99% will be with Anthem, now known as Elevance. And they're gonna get a list on the doctors who aren't there, so we can share that with everybody.
This is a discussion that Mr. Mucci and I, we're going to schedule a meeting to meet with the leadership from both associations, because as we've talked about many, many times, healthcare is a very sensitive subject for all employees. And as Mr. Muccio said, this might be one where even if we wanted to stay with Medical Mutual, the majority of the group looks like they won't want to. And hopefully it works itself out. I just encourage the group to make sure they look at all avenues of the change and to make sure that, I've been involved in this once before and had a group stand in front of the staff and say, oh, there won't be any differences, and then a year later, I needed to be a fireman with a hose and because I was putting out so many fires because there were so many changes within it. So I hope that they thoroughly vet the change that we're gonna make to make sure that we can put our employees at rest. We're always looking to save money. Some of the board members went through an extensive process with the HSA, and Mr. Muccio did a tremendous amount of work on that. His people are still working on making those changes upstairs. So there's a lot of man hours involved in the district, and we want to make sure it's for the best.
So, Mr. Muccio, you said that it seemed as though there was critical mass for the consortium to move to Elevance or some other insurer. And you said that you thought that that might happen as soon as December of this year, or am I misunderstanding? And I guess that kind of begs the question of what do we as a district need to do in terms of timelines and actions?
Right, there would be a vote, so there wouldn't be a conversion. That wouldn't happen until about 6 months after.
Oh,
So
okay.
probably looking at ballpark a little farther than that, maybe summer, June,
Okay,
July.
thank you.
When a possible switch could happen. But we will engage the Health Cost Containment Committee, as Mr. Evans is talking about, and we'll sit as a group and we'll explain, the analysis that was done by one of the consultants. And just to kind of point out, just kind of how dire it is, the consortium had a carryover balance of approximately 30 million 2 years ago. And that has since come down to about 13 million right now. And that's where we're starting this fiscal year. Now, we have a 13% increase, right, that came into play. And this second consultant plugged in, figures and did an analysis and said that we're looking at essentially let's say, 3%, or a $3 million deficit this year, which means we're going to bring in about 123 million worth of revenue, and our expenditures in the consortium are going to be 127 million ish. That's a $3 million deficit. So if we have 13 million, let's stay with kind of easy numbers in this example. So 13 million is where we started. If we have a deficit of 3 million, we're going to go down to 10 million as our ending cash balance with the consortium. Now, there's something called incurred but not reported insurance claims that have not hit the books. Think of it as a purchase order that's hanging out there that you have not paid on, but you still owe that money on that purchase order. It's kind of what those are, those claims. Those claims were estimated to be approximately 9 million, but no longer. That updated estimate from this analysis by the consultant, greater than 11 million. So that means our claims that we owe to pay exceed that ending cash balance. So if everything were to come due, we would have no money to pay those claims within the consortium, because we would owe 11 million. We only have 10 million in the bank if we have a 3 million, let's say, deficit this fiscal year. It's also quite telling because they asked the legal counsel, their thoughts at the meeting, and he had said that in all of his years of experience, and you're talking 20, 30 years of experience, he hasn't seen any point he brought it up, he said that he's never seen a point in time where you have a consortium that had to call the insurance carrier as our fiscal agent, Todd from Orange, the treasurer over there, had to call and say, we cannot pay all the claims for this certain month. We have to save it for next month to get cash in our account. So it's that dire that's why the superintendents and treasurers are pushing for a quicker vote, just because of where we're at. So it's one or the other. We either have to pony up more mid-year rate increase, and then it's going to be 10% maybe. And then you're looking at an October increase if we stay with Medical Mutual. If we switch over, nobody can promise anything or guarantee, but these are data points that they're looking at to lead us to believe 9 million. So you have 20 school districts, super and treasurers sitting that are going to take part in an informational meeting in November with the look to vote potentially sometime in December. So we'll be ready for that as a district to be on the same page.
I think it brings into question some of Medical Mutual's numbers that they gave us years past too. We had, I think this year was our first double-digit increase, was it not, Matt? Some single, and I know in the not too distant past, we had a 0% increase one year. So it just brings this, if this rolled out the way it had to roll out, this would be a 25% increase in 1 year. And now the one superintendent was at Buckeye Schools last year, he's at Bruxton now, he said that's what they paid last year at Buckeye. In 1 year, they paid a 25%, and then they weren't part of a consortium, but, so it just brings into question some of the management on Med Mutual's end and how they're looking at some things, because it really doesn't seem to balance itself out in the end.
And one thing I brought up at the meeting earlier this week was, and I wanted to say it in front of everybody as we were looking at the financial reports, over the past 4 years, our claims have gone up approximately about 10 million every year, but our membership has gone down each year. So we haven't increased our members, but our claims expenditures have gone up, which just means there's more claims all across everybody. It's going to be a roller coaster, peaks and valleys, some good years, some bad years, so, but the past 4, the trend's been going down.
I'll try not to fall this year.
Thank you.
I'll try and do my part.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
But I'll keep the board updated as we go along, and us as a district will be on the same page with everything.
I'm sure we will. Thank you.
Do you
Go
think
ahead.
there's any possibility that Medical Mutual would change their stance if they knew that we're looking
That was talked about,
to get another
Right.
provider?
It's a very complex situation, so it seems like, and this is really what the consultant was talking about, how Medical Mutual negotiates these contracts with these different providers and whatnot, and it's gonna take years to kind of get to where Anthem is right now. So Anthem has kind of pushed away some of the negotiators that Medical Mutual maybe had in the past, and they're really being more aggressive and just operating maybe better at this point in time compared to Medical Mutual. So it's kind of shifting. So that's why the consortium's, very much entertaining. Both have been engaged in talks, with the consortium, whether to go with Anthem, now known as Elevance, or stay with Medical Mutual. So they're both, very, very in the know, and they're looking at, what this would look like over the course of about 2 years from that analysis. And even with that, Anthem, known as Elevance, is being very, very aggressive at this point compared to Medical Mutual.
I'll tell you that when, two meetings ago, when Anthem was, or when Med Mutual and the consultant were in the room together, there was clearly some tension. Because that Med Mutual knew what was coming from the consultant. They knew they were dismissed. They gave their report, they were dismissed, so they didn't hear what the consultant had to say, but they were clearly uneasy about what was gonna be presented to us.
And it's always better to stay in a consortium rather than go out on your own because of the purchasing power that you have with a consortium to buy insurance as a collective group. With all of our fellow 20 school districts, we have so much more power as opposed to going on our own. What will happen in the future, not sure, but, we'll take it, step at a time as we go.
Thank you for the update, Mr. Mucciota. I know you'll keep us informed. It occurs to me that I believe we have 2 meetings in November and 1 in December. So we have 3 meetings, as I understand it, for the rest of the year. So if things play out the way you think, we as a board should perhaps expect either another presentation and perhaps a motion or resolution to affect this action sometime between now and the end of the year. Thank you. Any other questions or comments for Mr. Muccio? Thank you very much. Thank you. Mr. Evans, agenda item number 10.
All right, I asked for the approval on the consent agenda items 10A, 11A and B, 12A and B, 13A, and 14A through F minus E. Please remove E from the list.
With that background, can I have a motion to approve Mr. Evans' superintendent's consent agenda item, please?
So moved.
Ms. Decker moves. I'll second. Mr. Evans?
The exempt benefits package, those are some items that we had previously talked about. Mr. Suchaki had a grammatical correction that I did not write down, so we will correct that in here. We can approve the concept and then approve the verbiage. It doesn't change what we're doing, but this essentially adds, for any supervisor that has that their Chase counterparts have a uniform allowance, for them to have a uniform allowance, and that professional organization requests memberships with the superintendent's approval. And those are the major changes that I had for that document. Oh, the HSA, I'm sorry, the offering of the HSA was the main part of that Mr. Muccio had in the front of that, in the document. 11A and B is just kind of a redo for what we did last month. We're going to actually rescind and move to tradesman 1. We're going to leave them at tradesman 2 and move them up a couple steps. This kind of avoids a conflict within Chase and gives us the same result in the end. Supplemental positions for chat. That list contains our basketball coaches, faculty managers for the winter, boys and girls back. You'll see that there's some split contracts in there, wrestling and swimming. So all of our winter sports, bowling and indoor track, and our cheerleader advisors. So all of our winter activities are a part of that supplemental listing. Miscellaneous pay rate addition, and there was one on there. That's a lifeguard. Sarah King has helped us out. Her dad Joe is a a sub for us, does an outstanding job, and Sarah actually has her pool manager's license. I will tell you that a group of students have come to me about a way to offer some swim lessons this winter, that they did a fantastic job of the summer, so I will at some point in time, hopefully the next meeting, be coming, because they're all lifeguard certified, we can hire them as lifeguards. We can do I believe we can offer some swim lessons after school with that group of, I think there's up to 9 kids that are interested in doing that. So I want to thank those students that took the initiative to come to me and talk to me. I'm excited about that because it's one of the things that we wanted to try to return here for many, many years. And I had heard so many great things about the swim lessons from this summer and this is the same group of students that delivered the lessons across the street. So really looking forward to that. Is Mrs. Decker smiling? Aaron Decker was one of the students that had really initiated that, so I'm very thankful for that. The substitute list from the ESC, there's no major changes in there. Contract with Music Theater for Little Shop of Horrors, that's for the play. Mr. Detray's already gone through and made 1 or 2 minor changes to that, so we don't have any conflict with that. The eighth grade trip to Washington DC, March 11th through the 13th. They've already begun meetings on that. We're also looking at some ways to help defray the cost of that. ESC for Northeast Ohio, personnel cost analysis sheet. Mr. Young, do you have anything you want to chime in on that? Pretty self-explanatory. It's laid out there.
Pretty consistent with what we had last year.
Reach Counseling to offer behavioral services, mental health care counseling here in district for students. And then the service agreement with Logicalis. This gives us some additional access with our phone system that Robert worked on a little bit. Robert, you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yes, there is a license agreement with Logicalis, that this is year 3 of 3 for that. It's licensing for our phones. Phones don't work without the licensing. We knew that this final year was coming up and we're looking at ways to streamline our licensing and get more service out of the same amount of dollars for our bucks. So we're looking to move forward. We'll be meeting with the tech committee very soon on that.
Very good, thank you. So unless there's any questions or comments for Mr. Evans or Mr. Moore, we can move to a roll call vote. Hearing none, let's move to a roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Decker?
Aye.
Mr. Evans?
Aye.
Mrs. Etter?
Aye.
Mr. Souchaki?
Aye.
Ms. Prowse?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Agenda item 16, Mr. Evans, discussion comments.
Just, taking Vasu off, that doesn't necessarily mean they're out of the running, but I had sent some feelers out to some companies, and I got a call back today, and then I talked to the gentleman, and I said, well, if you get me something today, I may or may not pull. I said, I've got a recommendation on the agenda for this evening for approval, based on what your quote is. It's an in-the-district company that does radios and can also do a repeater for us, because that's the big thing, the combination of the two. Some, Vasu won't sell us a repeater if we're not going to buy the radios. So it's kind of a package deal, and other companies, just sell radios. Not a lot of people do the repeaters. This company does both. It's in Brooklyn Heights. The quote is close enough that I really want to sit down and talk to them a little bit to make sure that we're comparing apples to apples and look at it. So one of the two will be on at the next month, but it's nice that we got a little bit of a competitive bid there because we weren't previously. Talk a little about our evacuation last Thursday a little bit. I could not be more proud of our students, staff, and parents with the way that was handled. I think I laid it out in Tom Talks, and I think I laid it out in your updates, but just the timing of that, not even all of our high school students were in the building when we got I was at the elementary building. I got called back to listen to the threat. We immediately called Chief Sturgill. He was on site within 2 minutes. We quickly made a decision to evacuate the middle school, high school. That was the immediate threat. The staff took students down. A couple staff members stayed behind to help us because people were still coming in other doors of the building to kind of turn people down to the Klima Gardens, the evac site. I then went over to the elementary building, and first I called the buses because I knew the elementary buses were en route, and I didn't want the students dropped off and then have to reload and send them back home. So I turned the buses around. I immediately sent a notification out to the parents that, because I know a lot of our parents put kids on buses and head to work, that the kids are coming home. We've had a threat. Please patiently wait for the bus. We had every elementary student was dropped off. We were able to drop every student off. And then they came back, picked up the remaining middle school, high school. The evacuation order, we let the student drivers first, and we had a couple staff members that stayed down here and supervised that. Every student signed out through Mr. DeTrey and the other people down at the reunification site. Several teachers went inside to help kind of keep the kids calm. Our kids were calm. We had people telling me kids were sitting there doing homework. And parents were outstanding with cooperation. We had a steady stream up 71st Street. As we released the students, we let everybody release north. We weren't releasing anybody south until we cleared the lots here. That went extremely well. By 8:45, we started at about 7:20. By 8:45, every student in the district had been picked up. Absolutely incredible in that amount of time. And then we released staff at that point in time to go home from both buildings. And K-9 was here on site quickly, swept the district. By 9:30, we had an all clear. Which is why football practice. I also told the choir concert, told the concert they could go on if they wanted to. We had already canceled 2 athletic events and called those schools, so we weren't going to bring those back that evening because they're the schools that we were going to compete against. One was home, one was away, had already been canceled. So the music people said, no, we'll push it back a week because they kind of missed their dress rehearsal too. And football practiced at 3. The district was empty. We were here all day Friday as well. The process that we're in right now is that we needed to get a subpoena to get the number from AT&T. Cuyahoga Heights Police did that. They've sent that paperwork there. We're waiting whether that number comes back to us because of the intensity of this type of thing. This very well could end up in the FBI's hands. So they made it very clear to us that the FBI may jump in on this and take this over because it is a threat to the district on that level. So this isn't your run-of-the-mill. They don't look at these as run-of-the-mill pranks anymore. That nobody thinks that these are funny in any way, shape, or form. They're very serious. So that's where we're at in the process right now. We did a debriefing in here 2 days ago, or yesterday rather, with all the parties involved. Some of the teachers had some concerns. We put some of that together. We went through that debriefing pretty about an hour or so. We're going to do a what if as well. We didn't do that yesterday because if we do the what if situation, that's probably about a 3 or 4 hour meeting because that's a tabletop and that's where what if this would happen and well, how would we have reacted? So I think we want to do that and this is the perfect opportunity to do that. And we'll bring in safety services, we'll bring in staff members, support staff, teachers, and we'll go through all the what ifs and talk about what are some possibilities. We've already made some differences. Part of what we're doing, we know that our ability to kind of trace some calls from here directly. We have to make some changes through Neonet, and that's part of what Robert was working on today. Matt Hartman did a great job with that. We went back and immediately looked at all the cameras the night before to see if any strangers had been in the building because the call actually came in the night before. Ironically, Mr. Young and I talked to a security group last week that's looking for a school to make as a demonstration to sell their product. They would bring their services in here that does some facial recognition, a lot of different things at no cost to us, and then actually money back to the district if they could use the data that they retrieve from that system being here at Cuyahoga Heights in their sales to other districts. So we kind of did a once talk through. It sounds interesting, intriguing. They're going to follow up with another visit here, and we'll see where that leads us to. But once again, I couldn't be more proud of the way that the entire district reacted to the situation. And the way we move through that. So as much as you don't want to ever put those things in place, it worked. And but we also kind of take a look. Always want to know if we can do it better. So we looked at that as well. So senior citizens dinner tonight was great. Shecky Evans had the mic for a little bit, so I love the senior citizens. Mrs. Saffron didn't want to leave. Her son was in my class. She wanted to talk for about an hour down there with me and update me on her son and how everything's going there. But just a great night to get. And I think we see, and I think this is our 3rd year since COVID. The numbers are back up this year. I think the first year or so was a little. I think that those were good numbers down there tonight. Back up to maybe where we were. That I think we anticipated 60. I think we had over 60. But just real positive. And I don't know if you got to have conversations with them. I know Matt, one of the seniors had a real specific financial question, I passed them off on to Matt, and I saw Matt and him, Matt then pulled the 5-year forecast out and sent him off with his 5-year forecast and a lot of information, so, it was good, but, just good to see a lot of those people in the building, and, thanks to the band for coming down as well.
They sounded great.
And thanks to the teachers that stepped in. Mrs. Satterley, Mr. Bertolone come over and give their time, Mrs. McPherson, Mr. Martin comes in from the football field, and they always love to see him. And thanks to you guys for coming down and helping us also. I think that was a great night, and I think those are the things that separate us from a lot of other people, the fact that we can do those events in such a positive fashion, so kudos. That's it for me.
Well, you covered a lot, and the communities are very grateful for the prompt and swift action that your team took on completely unexpected, unforeseen basis, and to act so professionally to make sure that kids were safe, staff was safe, and that the process played out in a very efficient way. So thank you for doing that. The communities are very grateful. Thank you. Unless there's anything else for Mr. Evans, we can move on to board business. I see there's a consent agenda item, but I don't believe we have anything to consider this evening, so we'll move on to board committee comments, reports. Anything for the greater good for the board members? Okay, then let's move on to number 19, future agenda items. I don't know that we have any at the moment. So 20A, I hereby move that the board adjourn to executive session pursuant to ORC Section 121.22G3 for the purpose of conferences with an attorney for the public body concerning disputes involving the public body that are subject of pending or imminent court action. May I have a second, please?
Second.
Mr. Sujaki seconds. No discussion, so let's move to a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Dobbins.
Aye.
Mr. Zuchaki.
Aye.
Mrs. Deco.
Aye.
Mrs. Etter.
Aye.
Ms. Prowse.
Aye.
The motion passes 5-0 at 7:56 PM, and we are adjourned to executive session. No action will be taken afterward.